Today, we will dive into something different: why Japanese techniques calm the Western brain, and also why Gen Z loves words like Ikigai and Wabi-Sabi, even though we can't pronounce them properly. Let's get straight to the point. Section 1. The overstimulated mind. Start with our own mind. The modern brain, especially in the West, is trained to achieve, not to rest. We grow up being told to be efficient, productive, optimized, to measure our worth through progress. But psychologically, this constant stimulation changes our nervous system. The prefrontal cortex stays in a state of mild alertness. The dopamine cycle rewards us for completion, not contemplation. Even rest becomes a task, something to plan, to track, to post about. We have created an environment where silence feels uncomfortable and stillness feels suspicious. When your brain runs in high gear long enough, peace doesn't feel natural. It feels foreign. And that's where Japanese philosophy quietly enters the frame. Section 2. The Japanese counterpoint. In Japan, calm isn't a lifestyle trend. It's a cultural rhythm. It's woven into art, work, even architecture. The Japanese aesthetic has always carried a deep respect for impermanence, simplicity, and balance. While the West built systems of control and expansion, Japan built philosophies for acceptance. The concept of Wabi-Sabi teaches that beauty lies in imperfection, that cracks, asymmetry, and incompleteness are not flaws. They are proof of life. In psychology, this aligns with what we call radical acceptance, the ability to experience reality as it is, without resistance. Then there's Ikigai, often translated as a reason for being, but it's not a quest for passion or success. It's about alignment, the quiet satisfaction of living in a way that feels naturally meaningful. And kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold, reflects a profound truth, that healing can make something not just whole again, but even more beautiful. These are not just aesthetics. They are emotional technologies, developed over centuries to help humans coexist with impermanence. Section 3. Why the Western brain responds to it. When Western audiences encounter these ideas, something in the brain slows down. There's a psychological reason for this. Novel concepts engage the hippocampus, the brain's center for memory and learning. When an idea is unfamiliar, it demands attention. That attention, the act of pausing to understand, is already a form of mindfulness. So when someone reads about Ikigai or Wabi-Sabi, they're not just learning a word, they're entering a moment of reflection. That's why it feels calming, because for a few seconds, the brain stops racing forward and starts looking inward. Gen Z especially resonates with these ideas because they grew up surrounded by constant stimulation, the speed of social media, the comparison loop, the fear of missing out. For many young people, calm is not a default state. It's an aspiration, and Japanese philosophies give that aspiration language. They provide permission to slow down, to exist without optimizing, to appreciate rather than achieve. Psychologically, it's a return to equilibrium, something our nervous systems are desperate for. Section 4. How Western culture reinterprets calm. Of course, the West tends to interpret calm through its own lens. Ikigai becomes a diagram for productivity. Wabi-Sabi turns into a design trend. Kintsugi becomes a metaphor for personal growth. And while it's easy to see this as cultural oversimplification, there's also something meaningful here. Because translation, even imperfect, is still connection. When people adopt these concepts, even partially, they invite a new emotional vocabulary into their lives. And psychology shows that vocabulary shapes perception. When we have words for subtle emotional states, we're more capable of experiencing them consciously. That's what these Japanese philosophies offer: a new language for peace. Section 5. The science of slowing down. Let's talk about the neuroscience of calm. When you engage with slow, mindful practices, your parasympathetic nervous system activates. This reduces cortisol levels and increases heart rate variability, both indicators of relaxation and emotional regulation. Japanese philosophies encourage these states through daily rituals: tea ceremonies, calligraphy, gardening, even cooking. Each act demands patience, precision, and presence. Psychologists call this flow state. It's when your mind and body synchronize fully in the present moment. And the more you enter flow, the more resilient your brain becomes against stress. So even if someone practices Wabi-Sabi by simply appreciating the uneven glaze of a handmade cup, they are, in that instant, retraining their attention. learning how to find peace in imperfection. Section 6. The paradox of calm as a trend. Of course, there's a paradox here. The more the world talks about calm, the more it becomes commodified. We see mindfulness challenges, Ikigai workshops, Zen productivity courses. The intention may be good, but the framing often turns peace into another goal to achieve. And yet, even within that irony, the message survives. Because whether you discover Ikigai in a book or through a viral video, the idea still travels, and the mind still pauses long enough to listen. Sometimes wisdom doesn't need to stay pure to stay powerful. Section 7. East meets West. Integration. The modern mind doesn't need to abandon Western progress or Eastern peace. It needs to integrate them. The drive of the West, to build, to improve, to innovate, can coexist with the balance of the East. To accept, to appreciate, to breathe. In psychology, this is called dialectical thinking, the ability to hold two truths at once. You can want growth and still appreciate stillness. You can strive and still be grateful. Japanese techniques calm the Western brain not because they're exotic, but because they restore something universal we've neglected: presence. Section 8. The deeper meaning. At its heart, this isn't about trends or cultural borrowing. It's about remembering something human, that we were never designed to live at this speed. Our ancestors watched sunsets, not screens. They spoke to silence. Japanese philosophy simply offers a mirror, reminding us what we already knew but forgot to practice. Ikigai teaches meaning. Wabi-Sabi teaches acceptance. Kintsugi teaches healing. Together, they form a psychology of gentleness, a language that helps us live slower so we can live deeper. The West is noisy. Japan teaches silence. And somewhere between the two is balance. You don't need to move to Kyoto to find it. You only need to stop measuring peace by productivity. Ikigai isn't about what you do. It's about how consciously you exist while doing it. Wabi-Sabi isn't about imperfection. It's about gratitude for impermanence. And Kintsugi isn't about fixing. It's about honoring the journey of repair. In a world that teaches us to chase more, these ideas quietly remind us, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply be.